pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks for being here.
And Linda, can you confirm that our meeting was posted?
Yes, I can confirm that today's meeting was posted at all designated locations.
Thank you. And we need an approval of the agenda, board.
I'll move we approve the agenda. It's Glenn.
Second.
We have a motion by Glenn and a second by Cindy to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. 2.1 on our agenda, consider LaPointe Elementary Phase 2 opening.
All righty. So bonjour, everybody. Thank you for gathering tonight. As you see, we have this consideration for all of you. It's really been a team effort, and so you'll be hearing from a small handful of folks tonight. I'm here to just start us off and say a lot of care and thought has gone into preparing all the protocols and procedures that we have been tasked with because of COVID-19. And it became evident as we started making our way that folks are feeling that it's possible for the LaPointe School to operate at a different pace and at different levels. So Kate Barton, the LaPointe School teacher, is going to share with you just a brief timeline of what we've gone through to get to this evening, and then really speak specifically about what the school day will look like when moving to level 2, which is that hybrid model. Tonight, you'll also be hearing from Nick Sawyer, our COVID response coordinator, also Jackie Noah, our district school nurse. We'll also hear from Joel Shillman on the facility side of things and what preparations and what things have had to change because of COVID. So he'll be talking to you about that. And you'll also have an opportunity to hear from Mike Peterson, our elementary school principal. Without having me go on too long here, I want to bring Kate on. And then, of course, any comments or questions after the presentation. So, miigwech.
All right, thanks everybody for coming together tonight to consider this. Leading up to this point, all students, 10 of our 12 total students have participated in the LaPointe School Summer Rec program. Through that program, they practiced social distancing, extensive hand washing, and mask wearing. So all of those safety concerns have already been established and are things that they're familiar and capable with. All students that attend the LaPointe School are comfortable wearing masks and do so. Leading up to this point, we have looked at the distance parameters within the school with the custodial staff. We have desks that are spaced at 6 feet apart. We have our primary entrance available for students. We have really pared down our staff to myself as the only person coming over from the mainland, and then Evan Ralph, my full-time aide, and Meg Brown, our custodian. There might be occasional drop-ins by our food service providers from Farmhouse. And everybody who has been mentioned, and additionally a few subs such as Janet Moore, a food service provider sub, Betsy Coleman, who would be our custodial sub, have all participated in the COVID safety protocol training to this point. And there are no visitor signs posted on all entrances to the school. So coming into the school would only be students and staff. My community exposure is minimal at this point. I'm 8 months pregnant, so I don't really go anywhere besides home. And I would be the only person coming over from the mainland. We would plan to follow the level 2 reopening schedule that was designated by the instructional committee and all the committees that work together this summer. So that would be the adjusted school day that starts at 9 o'clock and ends at 2:30. We would propose that first and second graders, there are 6 of them total, would come to school on Monday and Tuesday. Fourth and fifth graders, again, 6 total, would come to school on Wednesday and Thursday. And Friday, staff and students, except for custodial staff, would work virtually to allow time for cleaning of the building and that 3-day rest period that has sort of been talked about. I'm happy to share my screen so that I can talk about a detailed learning schedule that would happen. Oh, I don't have permission.
Linda, can you help Kate out with that?
I think it has to be Chris.
Yeah, I think Chris has to do that.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, sorry.
no problem.
Okay, here we go. So here is our level 2 daily schedule. So students that would be in person, I'd come over on the 7:30 ferry. Evan's start day is at 7:30. He prepares breakfast. So that would just be, breakfast is obviously bagged. So it would just be getting it ready for students. When I arrive at 8, I'll be checking in on the virtual modules in Canvas to make sure that everything is ready for the students that are learning virtual. Evan would work preparing learning materials for the students that are going to be with us in person. From 8:30 to 8:50, students would arrive, and should they choose to have school breakfast, Evan would serve breakfast at their desks, weather permitting it. And some of these ideas were hatched a little earlier, so weather is looking less favorable. But when possible, we'd like to eat outside and socially distanced. And then 8:50, we would start our school day and prepare for the day. So every day, part of our routine is 3 minutes of mindfulness. We listen to a 5-minute daily newscast. We do a quick check-in. From 9 to 10, we'd spend an hour doing English language arts. Students would head outside for recess from 10 to 10:30. Evan monitors recess. Math is from 10:30 to 11:30. This is very familiar to the schedule that they've had their entire LaPointe school career, except that it's adjusted. Lunch, again, would be delivered by Farmhouse. So 6 lunches would get dropped off. Students would eat them socially distanced at their seats. And then after lunch, they would head outside for recess. Or if it's nice enough, we would eat lunch socially distanced outside also. When we come in from lunch, we would do some silent reading, maybe one-on-one reading with students, finish up any math curriculum or instruction that we wanted to work on. 1:30 to 2:30 would be social studies and science, as well as dismissal. Evan would be in charge of dismissal of students while I log on to my virtual office hours to check in with the students that are learning at home. While I am working with students during office hours, Evan could help Meg support with sanitation procedures, or he could also log on to virtual office hours to provide additional support for students. The students that would be learning virtually then, first and second graders would be expected to do 15 minutes of happy numbers for math every day. And some days they might have a personal math trainer assignment through our Houghton Mifflin math curriculum. Some days they might use Prodigy Math. They'd have a daily phonics activity, 15 minutes of listening on Raz Kids, a daily grammar activity in a workbook that they would bring to and from school that we would check with, supported with mini lessons and videos to introduce and refresh skills that they'd be using, as well as spelling. We have been doing, and we would continue to do, 1 mystery science lesson per week. And we have been, through our art grant, we have been working with Janet Moore, a local watercolor artist, where she integrates art and science through nature. And so to this date, it has been virtual. She's also one of our primary subs, and is possibly going to fill in for me while I'm on maternity leave. So we would keep art class virtual, pending board approval of maybe introducing the idea of an in-person art class, but that's secondary. Phi-Ed is virtual right now. We have a Run for Fun pledge drive where students are expected to run, walk, skip, jump, hop, skateboard, bike, whatever, 1 mile a week, and they're pledged by local community members. They have been doing a great job of exceeding that, and it's a family-oriented activity, getting everybody outside. And music, they are encouraged to log into Miss Gephardt's virtual music class every day. Much is the same for our 4th and 5th grade students, except for math and ELA. We've been using Alex Math, an online individualized math curriculum. So when they are learning outside of school, they'll spend 45 minutes, which is the recommended time on Alex, 10 minutes of basic fact practice using quick tables, and some days using Prodigy to support their learning. For ELA, we will be using novel units. We like to use the news website, Newsella, to integrate social studies, science, and ELA skills, as well as create informed citizens and people that know how to process the news. They have a daily grammar activity that has been established and they would continue to do, which would be supported by mini lessons and videos when learning virtually, and daily spelling activity. Everything else is pretty much the same as the primary students. So that's my major overview. I'm sure that you're left with some questions, and I'm happy to clarify anything there.
I don't have any questions. Thank you, Kate. That was really helpful.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was pretty thorough. I think you've pretty much filled us in on everything. It's an impressive plan.
I agree. I like the recommendation to eat outside. And I also think that, like, I eat outside in the winter a lot too, unless it's like sleeting or something. I don't see how eating outside can't be incorporated with recess and snowsuits and all of that, but maybe some kind of like good mittens or like gloves.
I'm also happy to share this document as well as our Phi-Ed Run for Fun program with anybody if you'd like a copy of it. So just let me know.
You said that the kids will all wear masks. I was just wondering, are you going to be taking their temperatures throughout the day or during the day or one time before you go to school?
That is something that falls on the parents' shoulders. And then I think that they're logging that into the frontline system management or symptom system management system. Jackie can speak more to that. And I know that it's not a current recommendation from the CDC, as it's not always the best gauge of COVID-like symptoms.
Okay, thanks.
Do we need to vote on this tonight?
I think they have others who are going to present.
Okay.
Yep. So if no other comments or questions from the board, we will move on to Nick Sawyer and Jackie Noah.
Well, good evening. Thank you, Kate. So I want to speak to the risk assessment. We use the Department of Health, State of Wisconsin school reopening risk assessment to get in line to make sure that all the boxes are checked. This particular one was updated June of 2020. So it is the most recent version recommended by DPI. The LaPointe School meets and has met all of the requirements, even the recommended, not mandated ones, on this risk assessment. So we used an additional tool aside from what we had already had in place, and they met and really exceeded. I also want to say that with the 6 students in the cohort, plus the staff that are going to be in the building, they are below the CDC's recommended 10 people in the building, 10 people in a group, and they'll be social distance with PPE. So that was an additional consideration that was really important for the reopening of the school at this point. there's been some discussion about other students attending the school and whatnot, and the 12 student consideration was an important factor getting to this point for this recommendation. I also provided a guideline of staff training. So all the staff at the school have been through this training. It was an in-person open discussion forum. The guideline lists all the talking points for that training, so you can see everything that was covered. And the staff at that point and at this point are confident in their skills with that training, and they are confident in their ability to operate safely at that school location. And my last point is I verified with Ashland County Public Health at 3 p.m. today. I got an email stating that there are no known cases of COVID on the island at this time, which is a consideration because if you remember, the decision matrix for the island was one case on the island shuts the school down. They have not been very active with COVID to this point, and at the moment there are no cases on the island. That's all I have. Jackie, do you have anything?
I don't think I have anything to add to that, but I'm here to answer questions as needed. Well, let me take that back. Yeah, I think we've partnered with Redcliffe and Dr. Darling, and she was able to provide us with those island numbers today as well. And then, like Nick said, he was able to confirm those with Ashland County. So yeah, other than that, no.
Nick, this is Glenn. Will the Ashland County inform anybody with the school should there be a case develop on the island?
Yeah, so we don't have a trigger set up with Ashland County. However, we have set up with Holly through Bayfield County. She's going to keep an eye on that for us. But we're also working with Dr. Darling, who has access to the system, and she'll notify us if there's any cases on the island as well. So we've built some redundancy, even though it's not directly with the Ashland County.
Got it. Thanks.
I don't know if you mentioned, Kate, but are the kids going to ride the bus still?
The bus would be an option. And our custodian is also our bus driver, and we have a backup trained custodian and bus driver. Maximum students on the bus would be 6 right now, as the Bayfield School is still learning virtually. And I think should that change, we would try to adjust it so that there were 2 separate bus routes with the cleaning of the bus in between if possible. Parents also have the option to drop their kids off, or many students live within proximity where they could also safely walk to school.
And when are you guys trying to start? What's the date you're proposing?
At a meeting today, we talked about not this coming Monday, but the following Monday. I believe that's the 26th.
That's correct.
Is there a chat session? Can you type or do you have to do it all by voice?
I didn't catch who that was, but we have the chat feature turned off. So if you have a question, just.
This is Patrick Andrew Kenny, Nicole.
Hi, Patrick Andrew.
I teach middle school science. And my only concern with this is there an equity issue about some kids getting to go in person and other kids not being able to go in person? And what ramifications that's going to be from that? Because we do have Island students that are in 6th grade. We have Island students that are in the higher grades. Are they going to go back to the island, or are they going to stay with us in our classes now? And I mean, I'm not a parent in Bayfield, but some kids get to and some kids don't get to. Those are my concerns.
The proposed LaPointe School opening affects only K-5 LaPointe School students that are currently enrolled.
Thanks, Pat, because I don't know that in general, the entire district parent wise is aware that there's a proposal that Island students start in person. So it's a valid concern, definitely. And maybe you should check, Beth, as well with our legal counsel to make sure that there isn't an equity issue legally. But I can't answer your concern, Pat, but I do hear you, and I can.
If I could, this is Liz Bodine. I'm the media math specialist for the Bayfield School District. I'm piggybacking on Pat's concern. I've never seen our district operate in silo. We are one district, whether you're looking at it from the LaPointe School or the Bayfield School, we are one district. And to allow some of our districts to go back face-to-face while others don't have that choice, again, I think too is an equity issue. And I look at it in terms of some of our kids having an opportunity to do so and some of our kids not.
Nicole, can I ask that we limit discussion to board members and staff that are invited to participate? This could go on all night.
Yeah, and the district staff are welcome to share their concerns with the administration, who will get those to the board. I had a question, Kate, is there discussion on the parent side that some of your students will want to continue to be virtually, even though course would be offered in person? Because that's a conversation point on the mainland pretty significantly.
No, everybody given the opportunity to attend school in person would attend school in person on their designated days, the 2 days of the week, and the other 3 days they would do virtual learning.
And they understand that that is the only option.
Yes, and I'm happy to reiterate that.
At this time, although the board has expressed the desire for there to be some level of virtual to continue even when we do move to in-person. I haven't heard any updates on any progress or changes to that plan, but
I'm happy to be in district alignment. The only thing that I'm asking is, given the LaPointe school numbers, that the consideration be given that we move to a different level of learning because of our size.
Beth, is there more discussion from other staff members?
Joel?
I know that Joel Shulman, our buildings and grounds director, has some comments on just the facility at LaPointe School and is available for any specific questions the board might have about the LaPointe School facility in regards to COVID preparation.
Is the LaPointe School getting the Atmos Air system as well? You're on mute.
Sorry, Joel, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. The Atmos Air system is not here yet. When I checked today, the Johnson Control rep who sold us that Atmos Air system was going to follow up with his rep because he hasn't heard. As far as I know, we're still on task to have that system delivered within the next couple of weeks and then installed to follow thereafter. So at this point, no, there's no Atmos Air in the facility.
But it includes the Island School, right?
Correct.
Okay.
It does. The only other concern or question that I have is, and Meg didn't feel that it was an issue, was, I know we talked about bus monitors. She will not have a bus monitor. We could certainly enlist Betsy, the backup bus driver and custodian, to help Meg in that order if we want to. She didn't have a concern about that. So I guess I want to know from you folks if that's a concern for you. I know we talked about bus monitors on the rest of the buses on the mainland, but that is something that she will not have at this point in time. As far as cleaning the building, she felt today when I talked to her that she would be able to manage that with no problem, especially with Evan's help at the end of the day. You know, cleaning the 6 desks and the touch points where the kids are going to be. Katie, it's my understanding they're going to pretty much stay in one room for the most part. Is that correct?
We have 2 primary classrooms and then the potential to utilize the gymnasium, but I'm
Right.
happy to take directive.
Yeah. So it was my understanding she did not have an issue with that. It's the only other open question is will she be delivering meals to the other kids while the kids that are in school, and that will take her away from the building if there's something she's needed for. And I don't have the answer to that question either. It's my understanding that she will still need to deliver some meals, or are they going to get them all from the farmhouse? I don't have the answer to that yet.
And I know that was one of the questions that in talking with Kate and Nick and Jackie and yourself today, that that's a task that needs answering this coming, the next couple days of this week and then next week. So requesting consideration for starting this, the 26th is just going to give some time to consult with all the players involved in order to make certain that this will work in the best possible way. Any other comments or questions for Joel? Okay, thank you. Mike Peterson.
Good evening, board members. I want to thank you guys for showing up tonight and considering this proposal to reopen the LaPointe School. Just got a few things I want to say, and then I'm just going to leave it up to you guys to have your discussion. First thing that I want you guys to know is that when I sit down with many of these groups of people who have come up with this stuff, I want to let you know that they're a very thoughtful group, and they ask questions and very good probing questions to really look at what is the safety level that we're trying to achieve here, because we don't want anyone getting sick. We don't want our kids to get sick. We don't want them to get sick and bring it home to their families. And so we put great consideration into that. So with that being said, I like to make all my decisions as far as my career goes, just what is best for kids. And I think we'd all agree that for most kids, what's best for them is to be with their teacher face to face, so the teachers can do their best job of teaching and the kids can do their best job of learning. So that's what I look at, is what is best for the kids of the LaPointe School. And then I have to look at it, okay, with the pandemic going on, what is the safety concerns, and have we mitigated the risk enough that it's okay to say, yeah, let's go ahead and start up at level 2 now. So I am not a safety expert, and I'm surely not a health expert, but I have pretty good ears, and I can listen to the people who are experts, and I can ask them questions. And that's what I did, and the other administrators and people on those teams did. And I feel really good about the plan that Nick has created for our district and the plan that was created for the LaPointe School, including that decision matrix, which is a lot tighter for LaPointe School than it is for the Bayfield schools. I also know that Jackie and Nick did a great job doing safety trainings with everybody, and that I feel confident that the staff that will be working with the kids understand what those safety measures are and how to teach those to the kids. Oh, I just got a message that says my internet is unstable. Can you guys hear me fine? Okay,
Yeah.
all right, because sometimes you just ramble on and it's like, So anyways, with all that being said, it comes down to, do I feel confident that we as a school district could open this school and give the kids what's best for kids? And I'm there. I do feel confident that we can do this at the LaPointe School. They've got some special circumstances with the number of kids, the fact that they're more isolated than the kids on the mainland. And I just feel like the plans that are in place are good plans, and that I'm ready to move forward to administer that school and and make sure that the plans are being followed and that the safety precautions are there and that the learning is taking place. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, and thank you one more time for considering the proposal.
All right, great. We do have Dr. Darling, our medical director for the district, with us tonight. Dr. Darling, is there anything that you would like to add to this evening's presentation and discussion?
Hi guys, thanks for inviting me again. I just want to say that I also support opening the LaPointe School. I think you guys have done a fabulous job of thinking of every detail that that could be thought of, and gone through it with a fine-tooth comb. So I congratulate you guys on the really strong work. Again, I think my position is generally pretty well known. If possible, kids should be in school. It does better for them long-term. I know we're very concerned about short-term, but my job is also to think longer term, even into adulthood. And I think this is a good plan to be able to mitigate the risk short-term and also mitigate risk medium and long-term for these kids. So that's all I really have to say, but I'm here for questions.
All right, great. Any questions?
I would like to make a motion that we authorize the LaPointe School to open to phase 2 on October 26th. And I just would also like to add, in response to Liz and Pat's comments, that you know, it is the most important thing that the kids be back in school. And the only reason the Bayfield kids aren't going to be back in school is because we don't have everything like we do in LaPointe. And by the same token, if the Bayfield School was going to phase 2, and then we did have an infection on the island, we'd have to close the school on the island. And, you know, people would say that's not fair either. So, you know, I think that, you know, it's good to always want to have equity, but I think that in this case, the arguments are in favor of getting as many kids into school as possible with the least amount of risk. And so that's why I'm making the motion.
I would second that.
In discussion, I just want to say that I'm prepared to vote in favor of the school as well, opening with the plans presented. I do want to have confirmation from our legal counsel that there is no issues on the district side. So my approval is pending that, Beth, and we will require a response from the administration. But everybody in favor? We have a motion by Glenn and a second by Esme. All in favor?
Discussion with that though, Nicole, too, shouldn't we wait until that legal comes in to make that motion? I would say if we're gonna wait on and get the legal advice on it, I think we should wait. I mean, we could probably get the answer tomorrow and we can do a poll vote or whatever has to be done, but just to make sure that it's clear and that it's okay to do.
I will certainly initiate that contact with our legal tomorrow morning, and will, whatever is your preference, board, you know, I'll operate in that way, but I will make that contact in the morning and hope for a timely response.
Yeah, and I would just like to say, you know, as much as I'm in favor of us meeting as often as possible during this time, this kind of thing of we need to confirm with the lawyer before is, you know, we have in the past done things contingent on getting approval from the lawyer. And so I would be comfortable voting on this night and having it contingent on approval from our outside legal counsel. Mm-hmm. And I'll make that as part of my motion, that it be contingent on approval by the legal counsel.
All right.
I'll second that, or it's already been seconded, but I'd like to know if we have anything in writing from Madeline Island like we do from Bayfield. We got all the protocol and everything, and everything that's gonna happen when our school opens. I'd like to see the same thing from Adeline. I don't have it here.
Larry, that was the third attachment.
I don't have a third attachment.
Oh, okay.
You don't? No, I don't.
What?
I wouldn't have asked for it if I didn't have it. If I had it.
Sorry.
I don't.
Linda, you can take care of that for Larry?
Absolutely.
Okay, we have a motion on the table by Glenn and a second by Esme to approve the opening of phase 2, October 26th at the LaPointe School, contingent on legal information. All those in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Larry?
I nodded yes.
I'll see it next time, I promise. All
Hey,
right.
just on another note, just something that Glenn had said a little bit earlier is that, you know, every chance that I get, that I can get information from our teachers, I'm going to take it because, you know, they're just a wealth of information. And if we just ignore them and not let them talk up, I like it when they talk up and tell us things because sometimes there's things that I don't realize and they bring it to our attention. And I appreciate that.
Good point, Larry, and I don't disagree that they bring us good information. I just, you know, if we were meeting in public, it would, you know, we require people to have public comment, and that has always worked out for us well. And so this is a different format, and I just
Well, it's still an open meeting.
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely.
All right. 2.2 on our agenda, COVID-related hires.
All right, thank you. Jackie, did you want to speak to this first, given your interest in having this on the agenda?
Sure.
Oh, okay. I know I got it here.
My concern was that we haven't had a lot of applicants for our extra positions that are posted as backup for the school, which is an integral part of the plan to open the Bayfield School. You know, so I just didn't want the board to be blindsided by that. You know, I just want to bring that to the attention, and, you know, what does the board think? What does administration think about, you know, I mean, if we don't get these hires, I mean, if we don't have people applying for those positions that we can hire, that being an integral part of how we're working at managing the school, where do we go from then? I mean, do we need to does Nick, you know, as their COVID coordinator, do we need to come up with plan B? Or do we assume that we can't open until those positions are filled? It was a concern of mine. I think we may have a couple applicants now for the health assistant position, which I'm excited about. But those other positions, which would include bus monitor, just to make sure that all the safety protocols and procedures are followed in getting to school, and then throughout the day, the extra help for the custodial staff. You know, I guess I just wanted it to be an awareness that we're having an issue getting people.
I like your idea, Jackie, that there be a plan B, because we will only have half of our students in the school and we will still have all of our staff. And so I've been pretty vocal since the beginning on wanting to know what all of the staff in our school are doing. You know, there's a lot of staff in our building, and, you know, sometimes we got to do what we got to do to make the days go by, as you guys all know, because you're there every day knowing where people are getting pulled. But there's got to be plan B, because we're never going to fill all of our positions. It could happen anytime, regardless of COVID. So it's going to have to be a plan B. How many workers are we looking for? COVID-related workers?
I think we're looking for 6. Linda, can you? Linda, could you speak specifically to that? I believe it was.
Yes, Jack, it is 6 COVID-related workers, and that's a multi-use type position.
Right, they would be in multiple areas throughout. They'd be on the buses, they'd be delivering lunches, they'd be cleaning touch points throughout the school, they'd be providing trying to relief for teachers so that they can get their breaks. There's a whole slew of things that they'll be tasked with. So yeah, I think, but it's a big conversation. I think, moving forward, maybe then, we're going to have to bring that to the mitigation committee, that how, like, in with these supervisors, how are we going to pull people from different areas to fill those spots? Because if we don't have that, I'm so concerned about all of those pieces fitting together and making sure that kids, before they get on the bus, that they have their mask, because the bus drivers won't be responsible for that. When people are entering the building, we're planning to have someone stationed at the front door to make sure that kids with parent drop-off are coming in, sanitizing their hands, making sure that they have a mask to wear.
I think with the latest update that positions aren't, people aren't coming forward to apply for these positions, not only the 6 that Jackie's mentioning, but also an assistant for her in the nurse's office. She's going to be beyond busy, and to have some support there as well. The reality is, I concur, we have to have a plan B. And if we aren't getting new staff on board to fill those positions, we need to be out of the box thinkers and really take a look at who is available and when. And we just started talking about that in one of our many meetings that we had today, to say, okay, this is our reality. You can only repost so many times, and then it's going to be go time here. We're hoping, if COVID positive numbers are low, so that we can transition to level 2 at the mainland building. And that is a piece that mitigation will be working on. Not only can we open, but are we properly staffed? Who's going to do the work? And we all have to be in a position where, when I'm available, administration, the other staff, teachers are going to be pressed. They are going to be working hard. And I would hesitate to have them come away from the engagement with our students. I think the rest of us, it will be time for us to step up and help where help is needed. So it's wrapping our brains around what does that need to look like, and who can do those positions. It's hard to get qualified people. We know that. That's one of the challenges here. And so we're simply voicing the reality of that to the board. Of course, if you have any suggestions, we're always welcome to hear that, and even reaching out just to check with Linda, because she's the one that's really been blanketing so many places, posting these positions, and we're just not getting any nibbles. So it's a real piece to our puzzle. We can be prepared like crazy and be ready, but if we don't have enough people in place to help ensure the safety of our staff and our students, that's a problem.
So thank you,
I'm
Beth.
not going to mention any names, Jackie, but I think you and I are both aware that there's somebody on the island who recently got their RN license reactivated that might be willing to do something either at the LaPointe School or potentially in Bayfield. But I do agree we need to think outside the box.
Well, and maybe put those feelers out to people too, if you can network, if you know people that would be a good candidate, ask them to apply if they're interested. Another thing I just thought of here too is our sub pool, because I think our sub pool is pretty low, and with the requirements, of the COVID symptoms and what we're expecting people to report and not come into the building if they have certain symptoms, we're going to get a lot of call in with that situation as well.
I see the interviews are on Friday for the tech specialist, and has there been conversation with Chris on whether we should be considering more than one assistant?
I don't think that's been talked about.
I've never heard a mention of more than one assistant.
You need more than one, Chris? What do you think?
What I'm really hoping for is someone who will be a skilled trainer to help out with the software end of my job. And if we have that person in place, they can help me as needed, summer projects, things like that. But I think that would be all I need. Be 100% more helpers than I have right now.
So Chris, not to put the cart before the horse, but looking at the candidates that you're going to be interviewing, do you feel like that there are some possibilities that might come through?
Yes, there are possibilities. None of them are the perfect candidate, but there are definitely possibilities.
Okay, good.
I'm sorry I had to get called away because my mailman was here, but I'm just worried if we do add another position, that would really have to be looked at as far as the budget concerned.
Yeah, I think, Linda, we got back to we're just looking at one position for Chris.
Thank you.
So we'll have a special board.
Do we
meeting
need to take any action on this?
There's no hires, but what is the plan? What's the timeline?
Well, I know that we've got October 23rd set as far as the mitigation committee goes, to trying to make a decision to bring to the board a recommendation for the 9th opening. So I think that would be a part of it. If we don't have these hires and we don't have a solid plan of where we're pulling other people from, that'll go into that consideration and that recommendation. Make sense?
Yeah, and I do feel confident in the next couple of weeks that with administration and some staff input, that we can create a very workable plan B. And all points are showing us that that's going to be a realistic possibility, unless suddenly we get some applicants for those 6 bus monitors / buildings and grounds positions. So I am confident that we can do that. And I would hate to have that be a sticking point for us not being able to move to level 2. We're all wanting so badly to have students and staff back in the building. There's the reality of COVID positive numbers now in our community that are high. But I certainly don't want the district to have to slow that down, that progression down, if we're not able to come up with a plan B for proper staffing.
Yeah, I got a couple of questions. If you,
Go ahead.
one of the things that I was been thinking about with this virtual learning and people coming to school to learn, do we know what the grade average is now virtually than it was when kids were in school? Do we have any way that we can find that out? How the grade level is right now? I don't mean just per person, but the average for the whole school. Do we know what that is?
That's a great question, Larry. I would defer to our principals, Shelley Swanson and Mike Peterson. I don't know that they know that right off the top of their head, but I think through our Infinite Campus system that's something that could be pulled together. Is that, am I speaking the truth here? Shelley and Mike, what do you think about that?
Lost Mike.
Shelley, are you still on?
Larry, I think a lot of people have that same question. I mean,
Can you hear me now? I'm driving, so I'm trying to stay hands-free as I'm driving. But I don't know how we would calculate a GPA of all the classes. I don't think we've ever done that, but I can ask Keely and Dan tomorrow if that's something we can do with Infinite Campus. But I don't think I've ever looked at what our average GPA is. But I can check into it.
I guess it would be kind of interesting just to hear what the difference is. Did the grades go down? Did they go up? Are kids managing the virtual as good as well as they would be in school? I doubt it, but it'd be interesting to see what that is. The other thing is,
kids could probably share.
Who's talking?
You.
The other thing is, mentioned earlier that this air exchanger is not going to be here for at least 2 more weeks. How much time does it take to install it? We're looking at opening up the school on what is it, the 9th? Is everything going to be in place by then? Because I hope that we're still shooting for the 9th and there's not going to be deviations as long as everything remains the same.
As far as I know, I'm basing what I'm saying on what Joel, are you still here? I'm sorry, I'm not clicking through.
I am here.
Okay. Can you take that question?
I talked with Johnson Controls today. Equipment has been ordered for the air handling system upgrade, and he could not confirm today as to when that stuff was going to ship. He was looking somewhere around, excuse me, either at shipping or being on site, possibly the first week in November. And then we're looking at a 2-week install, but that's not a firm update. I'm going to confirm with that again tomorrow. I'm going to follow up on that conversation.
So is that going to be a deterrent starting school on the 9th?
Absolutely. If that system is not operational, we can't have folks in the building.
Well, that's not good at all.
I couldn't agree more, but that is something that is totally out of my control.
Joel, there is a problem with getting things right now because of the COVID. Everything is backed up and there's just no way to get a set date.
So
That
how
is
long has it
true.
been out since we ordered them?
When did we sign that, Randy? It's only been a couple of weeks, hasn't it?
Well, we talked about it a hell of a lot quicker than that, than a couple of weeks.
I think you're thinking about two different things. You're talking about 2 different things, either the atmosphere or the HVAC repair. Which
Right.
one, Larry?
Well, I think we talked about both of them.
But the atmosphere is not dependent on us opening. The HVAC
No.
is.
Correct.
This is the one that's gonna be hooked up to our exhaust system?
If he's talking about the ionization system, that's on schedule. I'm talking about something totally different.
Well, I didn't know we needed something totally different. I thought that's what they'd come up with. Now we're hearing something totally different again? I didn't know that. Maybe it was one of the meetings that I got cut out of.
I think we're talking about two different things. The other one was because of the lightning strike, Joel, help me here, the controllers
Correct.
and not having,
When we
right.
talked about the lightning strikes, we were talking about two things at that time, and I didn't hear us talking about a third thing. We talked about the elevator and we talked about the alarm system. Now you're telling me there's other things. Then why the hell didn't we hear about that earlier?
It was in the report that I wrote, last week before? There was a report that I wrote and gave to Beth and Randy to forward on. I don't know, guys, I'm not sure where that went.
Yeah,
That was, yep, that was given to the school board.
I think, Larry, they're still, even to this time, discovering the impacts that the lightning strike has had on the school. And I met with the administrative team a couple weeks ago, who, after Joel came on board, was able to get a little bit more definitive action steps to take. And there was a decision to move forward, an emergency purchase to make the repairs to the HVAC system. And then that's when Joel prepared the comprehensive report for the board on those three areas, two that you mentioned, plus the HVAC. Because you're right, we were well aware of the alarm system and the elevator. And I don't think that we were as well aware or informed of the HVAC situation. But it is a huge issue. Huge.
So that's gonna throw off our startup date?
I sure hope not.
Well, sure as hell sounds like it.
Well, the island school will be ready.
Yeah, come on up.
My kids don't go to the island school.
I got two of them that can go.
Question for Joel, I guess. What is it exactly about the HVAC system that isn't working that would preclude class in the building?
Right now, there's no control on about 40% of the HVAC system in the building, Glenn. That just, the controllers were hit with the lightning strike, and so right now there's no control. There's no control on how dampers are operating, how fast the fan is running, how dampers open and close based on, or if a valve's going to open or close, whether there's more heat needed in the area or less heat. So there's basically no control throughout about 40% of the building. And that's going to have a direct impact as well on the Atmos system and how that functions. Is that, do you need any more explanation on that? And the problem right now is that getting the controllers delivered. That's right now something that Johnson Controls is unable to guarantee me at this time. When I talked to him today, he said I'm really, for some reason, they're having a hard time acquiring what our needs are.
So Joel, so it's more than a comfort issue. It is a safety issue.
Correct.
Okay, so it's,
because right now, Glenn, for example, if it gets really cold outside and that unit is not operating correctly, we could be bringing in really cold air, freeze a coil up, not have enough airflow or the correct airflow in a space that we would want to have airflow. I mean, if we learn anything about COVID, we know that it's more airborne than it is touch. And we want to make sure that all our airflow in the building is absolutely correct before these students come in. I mean, to me, that's a definite safety concern.
Thanks, Joel.
You're welcome.
So all the hires will come forward to the board on the 26th.
I say, how long has that issue been around? I mean, did it something that just come up 2 weeks ago?
As far as I know, Larry, the lightning strike happened sometime in
months
August.
ago.
I put that in the report.
Yeah, it's a couple of months ago.
Yeah, but I'm only in my 4th week, and I did not really discover the extent of what was going on until the end of the first, beginning of my 2nd week. And that's when I started talking with Beth and Randy about it. And that's when we approached Nicole, and she was very proactive in telling us to move forward. So that's the best I can tell you is there was some awareness, but I guess I don't know to what level the awareness was before I came on board.
Any other questions about the hires? We're moving on to consider a staff resignation.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Cindy and a second by Glenn to accept the resignation of Richard Lafreniere. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Larry, did you hear us?
He did, he said yes.
Okay. That's it, folks.
26th.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion by Cindy, second by Esme to adjourn 6:02 p.m. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.